freaking kidding me?
Welcome to the You've Got to Be Friggin' Kidding Me news. Today is Monday, January 6, 2025. I'm your host, Peter List, and this is our debut episode. Before we begin, I want to provide you with some clarity as to our purpose here. You've Got to Be Friggin' Kidding Me news is not talk radio, where we discuss a single news story or a few stories for an hour or so and tell you what to think about it. Our purpose is to provide news that you may or may not otherwise see on mainstream media. Specifically, we're striving to bring you local and national news stories about crime, the culture, the economy, immigration, media, politics, tech, and finally the world, preferably in that order. We're not going to hit every news story that's on the website, but we're going to find some of the stories that are more interesting than others. If you've never been to our website, you can access all of the stories we cover and then some at You've Got to Be Freaking Kidding Me News.com. That's YGTBFKM News.com. So let's get started. Earlier this afternoon, the election of Donald J. Trump was certified in Congress with Vice President Kamala Harris presiding.
The state of the vote for the President of the United States as delivered to the President of the Senate is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris
So now it's official, and exactly 2 weeks from today, President Donald J. Trump will be inaugurated as the 47th President of the United States. And as this is the inaugural episode of the You've Got to Be Freaking Kidding Me news, we'll be talking about some of the conditions President Trump will be inheriting from the Biden-Harris administration. According to the USDebtClock.org, the national debt is now $36.3 trillion, which, for those keeping track, is $8 billion more than it was yesterday. As a taxpayer in the United States, your portion of the debt is $323,045 as of today. Now, here are some of the news stories that caught our eye over the weekend. On the crime front, in Texas, 22-year-old Jesus Arellano is now facing felony charges for randomly slashing the tires of more than 30 neighborhood cars. Luckily, the little bastard's slashing binge was caught on Ring video in numerous locations or surveillance video on houses, so people were able to identify him and the police were able to arrest him. There's been no reasons offered as to why the little cretin was out there destroying private property. However, it does necessitate, or I guess it calls into need the necessity of securing your property these days. Now, we'll get back to Texas in a couple minutes, but in Idaho, a man was arrested after attempting to light an IED attached to a Union Pacific rail car. According to law enforcement today, Brent Charay from Payette, Idaho, was arrested and is likely facing federal charges after police responded to a suspicious person report from a witness who observed a man near a parked railroad car attempting to light an object on fire. According to a statement released by the Payette Police Department, officers followed a trail of footprints left in the snow toward the parked train car and located a, quote, suspected undetonated improvised explosive device, or IED. The officers then followed additional tracks to a nearby camp trailer. According to a police affidavit, Charay told police that he had made his own fireworks for a New Year's celebration to, quote, get a bigger boom. The police department feels the case is in no way connected to a terrorist plot and was an isolated incident. Charay is facing felony charges. In New York, a trans woman has been accused of stabbing a postal worker to death over a spot in line at a Harlem deli. Now, this story is from last week. However, the New York Post reported on Friday that the perpetrator, he or she, has a history of knife violence and once threatened to cut one of her previous victims. Haya Cruz was arrested at least 5 times before she allegedly carried out the ruthless killing Thursday, law enforcement sources told the Post. One must wonder why he or she is out on the streets at all. But then again, it is New York. Also in New York, in yet another subway stabbing, a man was stabbed in a Bronx train station early Sunday morning, and according to Olya Scootermaster on X, a 38-year-old man was stabbed in the arm at the 138th Street 6 train station in Mott Haven, just before 4 a.m. Not to worry, New York commuters, if you don't want to take mass transit because you fear for your life, you can always pay an extra $9 in New York's new congestion pricing. Here's CNBC explaining it.
Congestion pricing has arrived in New York City. Drivers entering parts of Manhattan today will be charged $9 during peak hours. It's the first initiative of its kind in the United States, although it does exist internationally in places like London and Milan. Late Friday, a judge ruled against New Jersey's request to stop the program from taking effect. New Jersey officials vowed to continue fighting the measure. By the way, President-elect Trump could also try to block that toll through a lawsuit, executive order, or a prolonged environmental review.
In cultural news, TikTok has brainwashed America's youth, according to a new report out of Rutgers University. Writing for the Free Press, Jay Solomon writes, since its U.S. launch in 2018, people have worried that the Chinese-owned social media giant TikTok is vacuuming up data on America's teenagers and transforming them into modern digital versions of the throngs who once enthusiastically waved Chairman Mao's Little Red Book. Now, an updated study conducted by Rutgers University's Network Contagion Research Institute, provided exclusively to the Free Press, finds that those fears may be justified. The new research is being released as the Supreme Court is scheduled to hear arguments this week about whether the U.S. site must be sold or shut down. A preliminary version of the study was released in August and, quote, faced significant pushback, according to Joel Finkelstein, Director and Chief Officer at NCRI. The updated study has twice as much evidence, he said, and will be published in the peer-reviewed journal Frontiers in Social Psychology. It is now the first peer-reviewed, data-driven study to establish TikTok is actively manipulating perceptions of China and the Chinese Communist Party through algorithmic bias. In other cultural news, New Jersey teachers no longer are required to pass a basic literacy test. It would help if I could. A New Jersey law that removes a requirement for teachers to pass a reading, writing, and mathematics test for certification will go into effect January 1st, 2025, according to the Daily Caller's News Foundation. The law, Act 1669, was passed by Democratic New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy as part of the state's 2025 budget in June in an effort to address a shortage of teachers in the state, according to the New Jersey Monitor. Individuals seeking an instructional certificate will no longer need to pass a basic skills test administered by the state's Commissioner of Education. Just months earlier, Murphy signed a similar bill into law that created an alternative pathway for teachers to sidestep the testing requirement. The teachers union, the New Jersey Education Association, was a driving force behind the bill, calling the testing requirement, quote, an unnecessary barrier to entering the profession, according to the Daily Caller. Teachers in the state, by the way, are paid an average of $81,102 annually, according to the NEA, the National Education Association, and a full-time teacher's membership dues are over $1,000. In economic news, the median home buyer now spends $29,100 on principal and interest per year, according to the Kobisi letter on X. Median home prices have gone from $346,000 in 2021 to $405,000 in 2025. For those of you bad at math like myself, that is a 17% increase in just 4 years. In other economic news, according to CNN, President Joe Biden on Monday announced an executive action that will permanently ban future offshore oil and gas development in parts of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans in a way that could be especially difficult for the incoming Trump administration to undo. Biden's executive action will ban new oil and gas leasing across 625 million acres of ocean. The ban will prevent oil companies from leasing waters for new drilling along the entire East Coast, the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and the coasts of Washington, Oregon, and California, and portions of Alaska's northern Bering Sea. Within hours of the news coming out, President-elect Trump responded by phone on the Hugh Hewitt show.
I see it just came over that Biden has banned all oil and gas drilling across 625 million acres of U.S. coastal territory. It's ridiculous. I'll unban it immediately. I will unban it. I have the right to unban it immediately. What's he doing? Why is he doing it? You know, we have something that nobody else has. I mean, nobody has to the extent we have it, and it'll be more by the time we finish because I'll be able to expand. You know, we're going to expand our country, and it'll be more. We have oil and gas, and whether you manufacture widgets or gadgets or whatever you happen to be doing, some countries have to work very hard to do that. We do too, and we will. But we have oil and gas at a level that nobody else has, and we're going to take advantage of it. And when I see somebody saying he's going to ban 625 million acres, he doesn't know what that is. He doesn't even know what 625 million acres would look like. And we can't let that happen to our country. It's really our greatest economic asset. And we're not going to let that happen to our country.
In immigration news, here are a few of the stories we've got posted at the You've Got to Be Freaking Kidding Me News.com website in somewhat rapid order. A 35-year-old Honduran man was arrested for abducting a Texas woman at gunpoint. According to a report by Allie Bradley on X, on Tuesday, December 24th, 2024, at approximately 8:14 a.m., the Haltom City Police Department was notified by the Grapevine Police Department of a kidnapping and robbery incident. The victim, a 22-year-old female resident, was abducted at gunpoint while walking to her vehicle around 4:45 a.m. The suspect, later identified as a 35-year-old male from Honduras with no known local address, forced the victim into her vehicle. He made several threats and compelled her to withdraw money from a nearby bank. The victim was then driven approximately 22 miles to Grapevine, Texas, where she was briefly restrained. She managed to escape and summon help while the suspect fled in her vehicle. The suspect is now currently being held at the Oklahoma County Detention Center. Headline: Mexican gang tunnel under border into Arizona spotted by drones. A tunnel believed to be intended for cartel smuggling operations was discovered near the U.S.-Mexico border in San Luis Rio, Colorado, south of Yuma, Arizona, reports the Post-Millennial. The incomplete tunnel was found during a joint investigation by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection and Sonora State Police using drone technology. The tunnel was confirmed by Mexican authorities as a narco tunnel, likely intended for drug and human smuggling. This marks the third such tunnel discovered near Yuma in 2024, according to a report by Arizona Family. In Oregon, also from the Post-Millennial, an illegal immigrant located in Portland was arrested last month after allegedly stabbing an 86-year-old man during an attempted carjacking at a Fred Meyer grocery store in Clackamas County, Oregon, and had previously been deported from the U.S. The suspect, identified as a 31-year-old Jesus Asensio Molina, reportedly stabbed the elderly victim multiple times as he unloaded groceries from his vehicle. The victim was transported to a hospital and expected to survive as he was treated for his injuries. Alencio Molina is an illegal Mexican national who was previously deported from the United States in 2013, according to a 2018 report from the Daily Caller. He also has a lengthy criminal record in Oregon, including a 2018 arrest for an alleged attempted murder involving a nail gun. Lastly, from Fox News, a suspected illegal immigrant was arrested in South Carolina on Thursday after officials say he made a fake bomb threat during a traffic stop, which ultimately led to a section of Interstate 85 being shut down for nearly 5 hours. Ahmed Jamal Khamis Allende, 28, was stopped around 2:45 p.m. by state transport police for having a missing license plate on his tractor trailer, according to the South Carolina Department of Public Safety. A Greenville County Detention Center spokesman told Fox News Digital that Allende was placed on an immigration and customs enforcement detainer. That's an ICE detainer, a holding notice of a potential illegal immigrant who could be removed from the country. SCDPS said that the tractor trailer is registered with Globe Transportation in Illinois. Now, this story raises a few questions. As of July 2024, Illinois became one of those states that allows illegal immigrants to the ability to get regular driver's license. However, that does not include a Class A commercial driver's license, or CDL, which is different. If this individual is not allowed to be in the country lawfully, how did he get a CDL to drive a tractor trailer? And more importantly, why was he hired by the trucking company if he was not allowed to be behind the wheel? On the mainstream media front, MSNBC has not gotten over its hatred of Donald Trump. I don't know why we thought they would, but according to a post on Newsbusters, MSNBC weekend host and legal contributor Katie Fang joined colleague Joy Reid on Friday's installment of The Readout to declare that the arc of justice has been crushed now that Donald Trump will not be getting the hefty sentence on January 10th that progressives like them were hoping for in the New York hush money case.
Remember, this was the falsification of business records, and this happened before Donald Trump went into the Oval Office. But, Joy, even though this is a meticulous opinion, as you note, and I give Judge Merchan his flowers whenever they are due, I want to say I am angry, and if anybody's watching this right now is angry, you're allowed to be angry. But you're not angry at Judge Merchan. Be angry appropriately and lay the blame at the feet of Donald Trump, the Supreme Court of the United States, because the arc of justice has been crushed and flattened by the weight of the Oval Office, but not because of the dignity or the integrity of that office, but because of the deceit by which Donald Trump made it back into that Oval Office. And this is why people angry by this outcome should say there is no true justice anymore, because you and I both know that if this was someone else, Joy, this outcome would have been different.
So the folks over at MSNBC are still a bit triggered by Donald Trump, but what about over at the Washington Post? Well, according to The Guardian, a Washington Post cartoonist has resigned over the paper's refusal to publish a cartoon critical of Jeff Bezos, who, by the way, owns the Washington Post. The Washington Post's Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial cartoonist Ann Telnace has resigned from her position at the newspaper after its refusal to publish a satirical cartoon depicting the outlet's owner, Jeff Bezos, along with other media and technology barons kneeling before Donald Trump as he gears up for his second presidency. I guess nobody told her that it's probably not good to humiliate your boss's boss's boss. Now on to political news. On Meet the Press over the weekend, Senator Chuck Schumer denied that his party misled Americans about Joe Biden's decline.
I want to play you a little bit of something you said last year. Take a look.
I talk to President Biden, regularly, sometimes several times in a week, or usually several times in a week. His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years. All this right-wing propaganda that his mental acuity has declined is wrong.
Leader Schumer, what do you say to Americans who feel as though you and other top Democrats misled them about President Biden's mental acuity?
No. Look. We didn't, and let's look at President Biden. He's had an amazing record. The legislation we passed, one of the most significant groups of legislation since since Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, putting in 235 judges, a record, and he's a patriot. He's a great guy. And when he stepped down, he did it on his own because he thought it was better not only for the Democratic Party, for America. We should all salute him. We should all salute him.
Do you feel, as we have this conversation today, that President Biden could serve another 4 years had he stayed in the race and potentially won?
Well, I'm not going to speculate. As I said, I think his record is a stellar one, and he'll go down in history as a really outstanding president.
So not to move too far off of the party of evil, on Face the Nation this weekend, Nancy Pelosi, the woman who said you must pass the bill to know what's in the bill, stated that she believes women are more ethical than men. Take a listen.
See, for women, women are known to be more, shall we say, ethical than men. And so when they go after women candidates, they go after their ethics.
I'm not going to speculate, but I am unsure how an 84-year-old woman who just fell downstairs in Germany, went through emergency hip surgery, and should be in therapy, how she's even back in D.C. as opposed to on some hospital bed, nursing her wounds along with her vodka. In any case, finally some news from around the world. Today, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced his intention to resign. He's not quite out, but he announced it today. Here's the clip of that.
I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the president of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
I think we down here in the States could hear the Canadians screaming hallelujah with his announcement today. In any case, those are just a few of the stories that we've got posted at the You've Got to Be Freaking Kidding Me News.com website on Monday, January 6th, 2025. And as this is our first episode, we'll tighten this up in future episodes, but be sure to visit YGTBFKM News.com and subscribe to our Substack so you can get these in your email. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.
You've got to be freaking kidding me. Don't be a fool, you useless tool. They cry for you to save democracy with their crowns on their heads. Politicians right and left don't care if you're alive or dead. Race war, class war, they, them, their wars. Don't be a fool, you useless tool. All they want is more war. They spend more than we make. Leave us in debt, all they do is take. You've got to be freaking kidding me. Low information voters watching cable news. Watching CNN, your morning Joe. I've got no use for you. You got to be freaking kidding me. They tell you don't eat meat while fentanyl floods the streets. They censor your speech while the media tells you what to think. You've got to be freaking kidding me. Don't be a fool, you useless tool. not to be